Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Brewed for Business, the traveling podcast. Today we are in Loveland, Colorado, in downtown area, which is absolutely beautiful. And we're at this amazing coffee shop called Feel Love Coffee Shop. Super cute place. You can see like our chairs, very regal. And I'm here with my guest, Karin Miller, right? Was it your last name? Yes. Yeah. From Zen Tenkara. And I can't wait for you guys to learn more about her and what she does. And so without further ado, cheers to a good episode. I asked for a large coffee cup and they came through.
Good coffee too.
Decision. Yeah, delicious. So Karin, so nice to meet you, and I'm so glad you could join me here and for recommending this place. What a cute coffee shop.
Yeah. It's been around for a while and it definitely has character. So
yeah, I love it. So now, are you originally from this area?
No, I'm a Floridian, transplanted to Colorado in '99, and originally moved to Fort Collins, and then about a year later moved to Loveland, spent about 15 years in Loveland, and now am back in Fort Collins again. So
I love it. And I love that I came to Colorado and I met Florida people.
Yeah.
Small world. We just attract each other.
Yeah. South Florida too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So you said like the Hollywood area.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So have you been back recently to see the build up of it and like the evolution of what that area looks like now?
I was last year that I was back there, and the expansion to the west is crazy, and even like north, Palm Beach and going north, it's just unrecognizable, you know.
When we first moved down, so I'm originally from Canada. When we first moved down to Florida, we used to go to Hollywood Beach all the time, like that boardwalk area. And it was all run by like Canadian shops. So we felt kind of like at home because everyone spoke French and we'd get to go. And then I went back a couple of years ago and now it's like totally taken over by the Latino community. Everyone is Hispanic.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, areas change, but I love Hollywood Beach. It's a beautiful beach and the water's great. And yeah, I mean, as a kid, there used to be trampolines on the boardwalk that were actually they were buried. Okay. Yeah. And so you could jump on the trampolines and you'd be looking out at the beach and the ocean. And yeah.
That's a great idea. Well, I guess great idea, but I'm sure it's probably went away because someone got injured or overdid it or something.
Yeah. Lawsuits. Right?
You ruin it for all of us.
Yes.
You really do. So you spent your life basically on the water. Right,
I did. In fact, my dad lived on a boat down in Dinner Key Marina, like Coconut Grove area. So, between living in South Florida, being on the beach, spending weekends at the beach, and then also spending time with my dad.
On the
boat. I think salt water runs in my veins. Absolutely.
What was your first water sport that you tried?
I was never somebody who water skied. My dad, originally we grew up on sailboats. So, it was always swimming and snorkeling and diving. And then he eventually moved to bigger boats like motor cruisers to go into the Bahamas and Caribbean. He wasn't a big fisherman, occasionally he would have a line out and we'd troll, but he would spearfish, but fishing wasn't really a focus for me. Or water skiing. It was, I swam, when I was
in the water.
Just being in the water. I was a big snorkeler, certified PADI diver. I did triathlons, and, the swimming leg was like, my strong suit.
Yeah, because you were in it all the time.
Yeah. So, I just have a a passion for the water. You know, anytime I'm near water, it's just a very grounding experience.
Right. It really truly is. I mean, in Florida, like one of my favorite things to do is to go to the beach at night. To just kind of like have your feet in the sand and just like watch the water like come and go, and just like you just feel like at peace, like just being there.
Yeah.
And there's usually hardly anybody at the beach, which is also a bonus.
Yeah.
But I've recognized that like when I travel, like every place that I see that has like mountains and like water features, like just having like a lake, a beautiful lake around, or a river, or even a creek, down to a creek, you know, like it's just something about water that's just so like you said, grounding, but like just peace inducing, you know?
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that.
I mean, that's how I got in to fly fishing, or exposed to fly fishing, really. It was, you know, moving to Colorado from South Florida. All of a sudden I was in this landlocked state, you know, and swimming in lakes in Colorado. I was freezing all the time, so I didn't
say it's not like 80 degrees
No,
water.
I didn't really enjoy that, but I loved being by the water, and you know, wanted to be outside. So the hiking and that type of thing was something I was drawn to, and then got introduced, you know, to fishing. People don't look at you and think you're strange if you're standing in the water or in a river and you have a fly rod in your hands.
Right.
Right?
Without the fly rod, they might look at you a little differently.
Weird. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to be by water. You know.
So, what was your first experience in fly fishing?
Well, my ex-husband actually introduced me to the sport. He was just learning it himself. He had done like spin fishing, but wanted to learn fly fishing. And to be honest with you, I didn't really fall in love with it initially. I found it complicated, a lot of lingo there. You know, it just felt, I mean, gear was expensive. You needed a lot of gear. You know, it was the rod, then there was a reel, and then there were lines, and then there were waders, and then there were boots. And then don't even get me started about all the different flies and the names for all of them, you know. And it just felt overwhelming to me, since I didn't grow up doing it and have, you know, sort of gradual exposure.
Yeah, you were just like thrown in.
Yeah, it was just like, oh my gosh. And also, I was working. I was a mom, you know, had a home and family that I took care of, and I also didn't have a tremendous amount of leisure time. You know, I mean, Saturday or Sunday came, there were always things to do. And even though we were on the Front Range and had river or water access very close to us, it was still like an hour drive up and an hour drive back, you know, and then
Set up and
20, 30 minutes, to set up, get your gear on. And by that time, you know, it was almost like, I got to get going. And I hadn't even started.
Not relaxing at all.
No. And then when I did start to fish, you know, it just, there was a lot to learn. And, you know, I'd do one cast and I'd get stuck in a tree, and then I'd have to tie my fly on all over again. And I was, you know, tying flies with material that was like the thickness of my hair.
Trying to like needle, thread or needle.
Threading needles in the sun and the glare and the wind with water rushing by. So it just, I describe myself as a reluctant angler. It didn't come, the love for it didn't come naturally.
Yeah. I love the commitment though, that you continued.
I did.
To try it and to partake, even though it wasn't an immediate love.
Yeah, no, it was an excuse to be outside.
It's a good excuse.
But then I was introduced to this Japanese method of fixed line fly fishing. And that sort of, you know, broke broke the glass for me. I was all of a sudden, it just took all the complication out of it. It was very straightforward, very intrinsic, slimmed it down, simplified it, uh, and I started having success. Right? And
What is the name of the Japanese?
so the method is called Tenkara.
Okay.
And it originated in Japan hundreds and hundreds of years ago. But it was brought over to the United States about 2009, roughly. Okay. 2010. And it's taken quite a bit for it to get its foothold. Just it was not initially received very well from the fly fishing community.
Is it that different than your typical fly fishing methods?
Well, so it really isn't, but it's the same foundational skills. It's the same skill set required, but it takes a lot of the complication out of it, and I say it simplifies it. It doesn't make it easier, but it makes it less complicated.
Yeah.
And so the learning trajectory is faster. And I don't know exactly why, but the fly fishing community was really resistant to it. I mean, it's taken a good probably 8 to 10 years for the industry to be accepting of the method, and people coming around and saying, okay, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's uncommon, right? So people tend to shy away from things that are different than what they're used to in the methods and all. Like, when you're saying that the simplifies it, what are some of the major differences between like normal fly fishing and the Tenkara method?
Well, so Tenkara rods are collapsible rods. Yeah. So they're ideal for travel, for backpacking, hiking, mountain biking, all of those things.
So you can include that like in your day. So,
yes. Yeah. So
you can go for a hike, and then halfway through you can
decide I want to fish for a little bit. So they're ultra lightweight. So they only weigh like 2 ounces. There is no reel. So
okay,
like on a spin rod or a fly rod, you have a reel which holds your line. The Tenkara method is what's referred to as a fixed line method of fly fishing. So you have a section of line that traditionally matches the length of the rod. So if I have a 10 or 12 foot rod, I would have about a 10 or 12 foot line attached to it. Okay. It's tied on right to the very tip or end of the rod. And you're using a small amount of what's called a tippet material. It's just a very, very fine microfilament usually. And then you tie your fly pattern on whatever fly you're using.
Yeah.
So in regular fly fishing, you have a reel that's filled with, maybe 100 feet of backing, plus a 90 feet of line. And then that line is threaded up along the outside of the fly rod, along the length through guides, and then comes out of a little final guide at the tip of the rod. And so the main difference is on Tenkara, you just have whatever amount of line you decide to tie on, tied on directly to the end, and that's all the line you have. And in a regular fly fishing, you've got a whole bunch of line and backing on a reel that runs up the length of your rod.
So is the style, because like from fly fishing, and now I've never fly fished myself, but the imagery is very common, right? Where you have like the line that they're pulling and then they cast it, right? So obviously if you don't have that additional line to work with, is the method or like the style of the cast different in
It
Tenkara?
depends. So traditionally, Tenkara rods are longer than regular fly rods, on average 10 to 12, 13 feet long, whereas a typical fly rod is only 9 feet.
Okay.
So the advantage is you have this very long, very ultralight rod, which gives you your reach, and then you have a fixed amount of line that comes down. In traditional Tenkara setups, that line is held off the surface of the water because you're able to do that with this 12-foot rod. On a regular fly rod, you only have 9 feet, and the line runs along the outside through guides of the length of the rod. And so after you cast, you lay your line on the surface of the water. The physics behind the cast itself is identical. There's no difference. You alter your cast, your stroke, the speed of your stroke, all the technical parts of a fly cast based on the weight of the line and the length of the line that you're casting, and how flexible your tool or your rod is. And so that varies from fly rod to fly rod. You can have a very fast action fly rod, or a very soft, like a bamboo fly rod,
a lot more flex,
which is very slow and deep bending. Tenkara rods are generally on the slower side of things, but you only have a fixed amount of line, so and it's generally shorter than what you would use on a regular fly rod. So the stroke is smaller because you have less line that you're working with. But I'll tell you, most for trout fishing, the average, or I should say most fish, the majority of trout are landed or caught between 20 and 30 feet away from you. So if I have a 12-foot rod and a 12-foot line and a couple feet of tippet, I'm at 30 feet.
Gotcha.
And that was part of the problem when I was learning to fly fish. I'm scrambling through rivers and all over Colorado, and I'm making little roll casts that are 20 feet away. And I didn't understand why, I was carrying 90 feet of line.
Plus you're not casting 100 feet.
Right. So there's only very limited places that you really need to have those big casts and, lay out 60 or 70 feet of line. And then, Tenkara might not be the appropriate tool for those waters.
Right. Yeah. If you're trying to get that far away, then obviously you need something that will tie that. Now, was Tenkara always collapsible, or has that evolved over time?
It's always been collapsible. And that's been, in Colorado, is really seen as a hub for the Tenkara method, just because we have so many outdoor enthusiasts and we have so much water, rivers, lakes, reservoirs, streams,
everywhere,
blue, they call blue lining, hiking into backcountry to these small creeks. And then you get up and there's a mountain lake. And so throwing, a 20, 22 inch rod that weighs 2 ounces in your backpack, right?
Makes more sense. How much does it weigh, like a normal fly rod?
My goodness. Well, just the reel alone is going to weigh, depending on
the type of line.
Yeah, it could easily weigh, over a pound.
Yeah.
Easy.
I have a friend of mine who does a lot of through hikes, and he's always talking about every ounce counts when you're doing those long hikes.
Yeah.
Everything is nope, no, we're not bringing a book. We're not bringing this. We're lessening the weight as much as possible, so that way then you can go as far as possible.
Yeah.
And I would assume that fly fishing is something that is not done quickly. It's a a standard, like multiple hours that you're out there, right? That's the whole goal, is to kind of be in the water and just be in the nature and just kind of enjoy that like relaxation. Is that, am I correct to
Yeah,
think that?
I mean, I think generally speaking, yes. You know, people go fly fish, they get away for the afternoon, right? And it's a combination of hiking and fishing, you know, sightseeing, enjoying the scenery, all those things. But I have to say, like, when I was first learning, you know, sort of at the beginning part of my journey, I didn't have, you know, those big chunks of time. Um, but my son at that time was, you know, going to kindergarten, and there was a river that ran through town in Fort Collins, and you know, sometimes it would be as simple as, oh, you know, I can leave a little early, and because it's such a quick and easy setup for Tenkara fishing, it takes me 2 minutes to set the rod up versus 25 minutes to set the rod up. It's like, okay, I can go, and it's actually worth me fishing for a half an hour. Whereas on a regular fly rod, it wouldn't be worth spending 20 minutes to set my rod up to fish for 30, but 2 minutes to set it up to fish for 30. So I could sneak in these little windows, and I just found I started doing it more. And like most things, if you do it more, you get better at it.
Yeah.
When
hopefully.
Hopefully, right? That's the goal. But when you get better at something, you usually have more success, which meant for in that situation, it meant catching more fish, right? And then that positively reinforces you to want to do it more. So then you get into that cycle versus going out there and getting frustrated, and only
spent all that time and didn't catch anything.
Nothing, just spent the whole time undoing knots and trying to get my fly out of trees. And then, you know, I also just didn't do it as often. So
did your son ever get involved in fishing as well? Was he interested?
He is. I mean, he's not the diehard crazy that I've become, because my journey in Tenkara brought me back to regular fly fishing and then into saltwater fly fishing, which then brought me into, you know, global destination.
So fun. Okay. I love that.
But yeah, for Mother's Day on Sunday, I'm going to go fly fishing with my son.
Oh, that's amazing.
And we'll do the Tenkara rods. So,
So wait, so from Tenkara to, you said, back to fly fishing.
Yeah.
And that was locally here.
Yeah, I just, you know, as I got better on my Tenkara rod, then I was
expand that.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm doing really good. I'm catching fish. I'm pretty confident out there. And then I started to wonder what it would feel like to go back on a regular traditional rod and reel setup.
Yeah.
And I did, and I was so much better. Oh my gosh. Like,
all of a sudden it made sense.
It did. It was like, oh yeah, like I know how to do this. And but now I can actually shoot line, you know. And then I learned to double haul, because it's like, okay, well, let's use all this, you know, line that I'm storing. And then you just, you know, you start to want to challenge yourself and use different rods or target different species or experience fishing in different locations. So saltwater, you know, so I went back into the salt, you know, leaving the salt, went to the rivers, and then back, you know, to the salt. And I do a lot of saltwater fly fishing now.
That's amazing. And you said global. So like, where are some of the places that you've been to?
So this past year, I was in the Maldives fishing for 14 days for what's called giant trevally. The Seychelles, Honduras, Guanaja, Costa Rica, Belize, Mexico, Cuba, Saltwater.
So many places.
So many places.
Well, had you been to those places before, or like the saltwater fly fishing is what brought you?
Saltwater is what brought me to
Wow.
those places. Yeah.
So now, for those of us who don't know, is fly fishing like a catch and release, or is it a mix?
It's a mix. So most places in Colorado, unless you're really blue lining and you're in backcountry, most of the waters are going to be catch and release. In the salt, we still practice catch and release. Occasionally, a fish may be kept, or if you're fishing with a guide, the guide might want to keep the fish, but 9.9 times out of 10,
You keep your catch.
you release.
Oh, you release it. Okay.
And it's really
it's more about the process than the.
It is, and it's sustainability. So I think most people that get into fly fishing ultimately become conservationists, very aware of their environment, and water issues, private, public access, and for saltwater, maintaining fisheries, climate change, all of those things, protecting water pollution, all of those things, just really become a real part of your passion, because you want to continue to do what you love doing.
Yeah, because otherwise there would be nothing left to catch, to even attempt. So when you start to like pay more attention to those details, is it based more of like you kind of start paying attention to your usual spots, like what's going on with the fish, like, oh, there's less activity today, or there's more activity today, or like what brings you into that, or is it something that you research before you go to an area to fish?
Well, I think you just
it's about like conditions.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. Yeah. So my husband now, he did not fish when we first met.
I love how it's flipped.
Right. So he didn't fish at all. So I introduced him and taught him on Tenkara how to fly fish. And then he eventually picked up a rod and reel, and now he's versed and an extremely good angler in both methods. But when we first started to fly fish, I don't think climate change or conditions were ever something really on his radar. And even when he caught fish, it was like, oh, cool, and he'd just kind of squeeze it, and those little stress balls with the eyeballs popping out. I was just like, oh my God.
I was like, oh God, be careful.
Yeah, it was just like, it just had it out of the water. And just
kind of like such a good visual. Okay.
Like just scary, like and was just the way he handled fish, and didn't think about how long he had it out on the water, what he was doing, or this and that, or removing the hook, or being gentle or deliberate with things. And it was just, when he first started fishing, I'm certain there were a number of fish that he put back in the water that didn't make it very well. And it's taken time for him to understand, and he has really learned proper fish handling and all of those things, and he wants the fish to survive. So last summer we're dealing with warmer temperatures, longer durations of really hot spells, and we were fishing a reservoir up in Wyoming that was warm. The fish were still active, but he hooked into this one fish that took him a little bit longer to land. And then when he went to release it, it wasn't doing so well. The man spent a half an hour like moving this fish around, gently cradling it, working water through its gills and making sure it was okay. And I just sat there and watched this, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is the same guy that, had the the stress ball,
Great
grip.
evolution.
And now, any minute he's going to give the fish mouth to mouth resuscitation.
He's ready.
Yeah, to make sure it survives. And so it's really neat that comes out of it, and so it's that, I think it brings out the real good in people.
Yeah.
In that sense.
So this is going to be a little random, but a random question. But so, people, I think the general public they tend to see fish in a different light than they would like a horse or a dog or a cat, right? It's like fuzzy, it's domesticated, it's like around. So everyone is like, oh, I'll take care of those animals, right?
Right.
But so like you're talking now about like the caring of like the fish, like, is there something that you wish more people would understand about like the importance of fish and like the ecosystem and how they are?
Where do I begin? I mean, there's, especially in oceans, when you spend time on the water, whether it's salt or fresh, and you're fishing and mostly practicing catch and release, you really start to understand the interconnectivity of, of of fish and waterways, and how everything is connected. And you remove one of those from from the great puzzle, so to speak, and it's incomplete. Like it doesn't it doesn't work. Yeah. Or it starts to fail somewhere down the line. And so fish are otherworldly, which is what I think one of the most special things about them. Dogs, horses, cows, bears, mountain lions, we breathe the same air. They may walk on four legs, we walk on two. They're covered with hair, fur, but we still share the land and the air. Even birds, we can watch them, and they're in the air, but then they're on the ground, and they have wings. They don't have arms, but we're still much more connected.
Yeah.
Fish are these just creatures that they don't have arms, they don't have legs, they don't have lungs, they breathe water. Like it's just so different, and there's so much that we are still learning, especially about the ocean, and things that we don't understand, and things that are not discoverable or discovered yet. Yeah. And so there's a mystery around fishing, I think. And that's what I love about the catch and release, because you bring that fish in, and for those few moments, whether you're, it's in a net and you're standing in a river, or you're in the ocean and you're in the water and you're holding this massive creature, or this 30 or 40 pound fish, and it's just so designed perfectly for its environment, and it's so foreign, and it's magical. It's just it's like, wow, I've actually been able to have this contact.
Yeah.
And you want it to go off and live and survive and reproduce. And
and you just got a chance to share like that special moment of just you and the fish.
Yeah. And that doesn't happen. You can hang out eye to eye with a cow, or a horse.
In the water, a little different.
It's very different.
Yeah.
And it's just very special. Very magical.
I love that. One of my best experiences was, even though I grew up in Florida, I didn't go snorkeling. I always had like ear issues. So like diving and snorkeling always kind of freaked me out, because if I went to a certain level, I'd get pressure and the whole, disengaging, whatever, it didn't work. But for 1 year, my son, who's now 21, but he was, I want to say probably like 10 at the time, I took him down to Isla Morada for a birthday, and there was I almost said scuba, not scuba. It was a snorkeling expedition. It looked like it was taking us into the middle of nowhere in the middle of the ocean. But when we went in the water, and I didn't expect to enjoy it, I was like, I'm gonna, go through this and let him enjoy this moment.
Yeah.
But as soon as I was in the water, like I think like I had a more of a magical time than he did. He was just like in there and just like watching like the corals and the fish, just kind of like in their environment, in their place. And I was just a spectator, right? I didn't touch or interact. Then there was like sea turtles like swimming by. I mean, it was amazing. It was so peaceful and like quiet down there, and just seeing everyone just kind of, living their life.
Yeah, I mean that's a cool thing too. Like when you're on the river, usually you don't have cell service, which is so nice to just disconnect these days. But it's not just about the fish, but maybe a beaver swims by, or there's a deer or a moose or an eagle overhead. Depending on where you're fishing. In the ocean, I'm sometimes standing on a flat in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and I can't see anything
but water,
in any direction. And it's just, sometimes I imagine what that would look like, if I just zoomed all the way out into outer space.
Like a pebble, like on the thing.
Yeah. But it's magical. Turtles will swim by, sharks will come swimming by, other creatures, rays, manta rays, eagle rays. Sometimes, you're out there and this massive ray busts out of the water and slams down, and you're like, holy schmoly.
Right.
So it's incredible that it gives you the opportunity to experience those things.
I love that.
Yeah, when we're sitting at our desk in front of our computer, we're just so far removed from that.
Right. Yeah. So now, did you ever work in the corporate world as well?
I am a woman, a Renaissance woman of many hats.
Love it. So perfect. I swear we didn't plan that.
When I lived in South Florida, I did industrial and commercial real estate and land development. When I, just as I was moving out here and had my son, I left that and went back to school to get a degree in education. So got a master's in early childhood special education, and did that for how many years, and 15 years, roughly 17 years, and now have the fly fishing business.
Yeah. So you brought the educator side of you into that business as well. So you teach, and we've been talking about the fly fishing, but so like exactly what do you do for your
my company designs and manufactures Tenkara rods, as well as our proprietary lines and gear, and then we offer accessories. So we are a Tenkara brand business manufacturer, but I also teach and present and give lessons, and also not only just in Tenkara, but in regular fly fishing as well. It feeds the educator part of me.
Yeah.
I love teaching and seeing those light bulbs go off, and sharing somebody's excitement. So that's,
and you get to share your passion.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. And like I said, you're kind of helping somebody go down a path that will really transform them in some way. With some people, it's small transformation. In other people, it's a huge transformation, but it's very special. And I get a lot of letters and correspondences from customers all over the world, and they'll send me pictures of, or little stories of landing fish, different places, and it's really touches my heart that in a way I'm a part of their adventure.
100%. Yeah.
So very rewarding.
How did your passion for it turn into a business idea?
Well, I was in Tenkara, and as I said, most of our water was small. And when I was doing regular fly fishing, I didn't understand why I needed all this line. And so as I fell in love with the method, I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. This is the perfect location to do this. There was one other company who was based out of California at the time, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is perfect. And it's just starting out. It's just been introduced to the U.S. This is the perfect location. Let's do this here. And so I originally started the business with my ex-husband. It was really more of a fly fishing business that also offered Tenkara. But as as our marriage fell apart,
It was restructured.
it was restructured. I really focused on the Tenkara aspect and gave up the other parts of the business, basically, or just kind of let them go to focus on Tenkara. So
I love that. And so so it was because of like the lack of resources around here, so you wanted to like bring those resources here?
Yes, and Tenkara is a less expensive method of fly fishing.
So more accessible.
So much more accessible, much more user friendly. And I just thought, this fly fishing has been going through a metamorphosis similar to what golf went through, I don't know, 30 years ago, where, golf was a rich white male leisure activity.
Yeah, you can only access if you could pay for the top-notch country clubs, and yes.
And fly fishing is sort of hangs in that same category. Very few women, very few minorities or ethnical diversity in the sport. And because gear is so expensive, it just made it tangible to people that had that type of extra cash, in order to afford it. And so Tenkara, not only was it easier to learn, but it was a fraction, a very high quality Tenkara rod is still a fraction of the cost of a mediocre fly rod. And so I loved that it brought this sport to more people.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So now like you said, there's probably a lot of men in this sport, and so there's not a lot of women. How about in the business side of the world as well, the industry?
Well, I will say women right now are one of the fastest growing demographics in fly fishing in general. So finally, right? We have careers, we have disposable income, and we're doing more with it, right? We're more independent, and so more women are out there and getting into the sport, which is wonderful. It's still, as an industry, very male dominated, although we're seeing more businesses, more women guides. There's a couple of fly shops across the country that now run by women or owned by women. Women only hosted trips So there are guides and hosts that are now just catering to women only trips, fly fishing destination trips. So it's great, but it was hard. It was tough. I mean, going back, because the business, I mean, we started the business back like 2012. Very few women. I say 2012 is when I call it the Pinocchio effect, when we became a real boy. Back 2011, we were, pimping rods out of the back of our car.
Sitting in hiking trails like, hey.
Hey, I got something for you. Come over here.
It's a great way to do the business. Love that.
But, it was very hard. I mean, first of all, I was a woman. And, back then when you walked into a fly shop, it was all men working there, and they typically said, hi, are you looking for a gift for your husband or boyfriend? Who are you shopping for today? So it was very hard to be, taken seriously. And then to top it off, I am now talking about a Tenkara rod, which 98% of the fly fishing community had no idea what that was. What is this Japanese thing? Like, huh? Where's your reel? What do you do in the fish runs? Like all this. So it was rough. Social media platforms were horrible, brutal. I mean, you could say the T word for Tenkara, and all of a sudden there'd be a thread of 500 comments, and 100% of them were negative.
Yeah.
And, that's stupid. It's fly fishing for dummies, and, blah, 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 blah.
It's great for visibility, though, even though they're negative comments.
It is. And you develop a thick skin. There were, and sadly, many people then become personal, which is just not necessary. And there were a dozen times probably over the years that, I finally broke down into tears and was just like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? Why am I subjecting myself to this? So, but it's really come a long way. And
I'm glad it has, but I am sorry that it was so difficult. And to think of something that brought you so much joy that you were just trying to share with other people,
and sometimes it was as simple as that would be my response, sometimes on social media, why are you so angry at me? I'm just sharing something that I love to do.
Yeah, you don't have to change what you're doing.
Right. And maybe somebody out there has had a similar experience as I have and want to try it. Why? But it's still not widely accepted. We are in very few fly shops. Mostly, almost all of our sales are through our own website online. We're in a few shops across the country, and we are in shops internationally. But when you think the numbers, in comparison, it's only a fraction of what we should be. I mean, every fly shop should offer
to have the option of it.
Yeah, even if it's not my brand, why not offer your customers?
So do you think part of that reason is because there's not even the people who own the fly shops are maybe not aware of it, or they don't know enough about it to feel comfortable to then sell it? Or do you think it's literally they're just against nope, fly fishing is fly fishing as it always has been, and we shouldn't change it?
I don't think it's black and white. I think there's still a lot of misunderstanding or lack of knowledge around the method. I also feel like fly fishing is still male dominated sport, and I think there's a confidence and comfort in continuing to do something that you already know how to do, and you feel comfortable doing it.
Mhm.
And so I think it's a little nerve-wracking
To try something new.
to try something new, right? And so if you are not willing to try something new, then you don't really know enough about it to
Have an
talk
opinion.
or
Yeah.
even support a customer that comes in. Like if you haven't done it yourself, or you've only done it once or twice, you can't really talk about it from a point of knowledge
So
and
true.
understanding. And so the feedback we get from fly shops is, well, it doesn't really sell. It's like, well, you don't really know how to talk about it.
Mhm.
I mean, a, just an example of that would be a recent fly fishing show that we participated in this winter. And it was an expo. And we had a booth that was right across from a fly shop that for years I have wanted them to carry my product, but they say, well, there's really no interest. We don't think there's a market here for the product. And in 2 days, right across from the aisle from them, they watched me sell over 50 rods.
Yes.
Just rods in 2 days, and so it does sell. But
did they come? Did they approach you about?
no,
No, even then, even after seeing
no.
proof.
They saw it and they recognized it. But
Yeah.
again, you've got to be willing to to learn something new, right? And step out of the box.
How have you gotten into the fly shops that you are in?
Well, I mean, some fly shop owners, which just most fly shops are small businesses. They're usually individually owned, privately owned, small businesses. Some people, a minority, are just curious and open minded, and so they have sought me out. Or they've had some experience or have had a customer come in and said, oh, we've had a few people ask about this. I want to know more. And okay, yeah, this could be cool.
Yeah.
Those are the shops that do really well. One of the fly shops that I'm in, and they typically do very, very well. One of our top shops. They're in Indiana. Like there are no trout in Indiana, right? So they're not trout fishing, but they love the product. We've built a relationship. They understand the application of it. They can talk about it. They're open-minded, and because of that, they sell product and they welcome it.
And they're allowing that many more people to experience it as well.
Yeah. So I think it's just you're going to sell what you know or what you're comfortable with, and or unfortunately, sometimes what the depends on the price point, right? If you have an owner that's
what
selling
makes the most money,
right? Their shop person, hey, sell this because this is a more expensive item, or it's a better profit margin or whatever, then that's they're going to push customers into that.
Yeah, that's so true.
Sadly.
Yeah. So do you do a lot of educational I would say services, but educational programs like locally here, or do you travel and do and educate people on the Tenkara style?
So yes to all of that. So locally, we do private and small group lessons. I also participate in expos across the country where I'm doing demos. Often lessons or classes also are part of those expos, and you can sign up for, you know, a 3-hour class or a week-long class, depending on the what's being offered. I also am invited to talk or give presentations at a variety of organizations like Trout Unlimited, for instance, in local chapters or private fishing clubs. Sometimes invite me and bring me out to present there. So it really just all depends. But yes, I love spreading the word.
I love that. Well, and then for me, like coming from a marketing background, or my marketing business, like, so I'm very curious. So like how you went about where all these people did learn about you and they know, because it sounds like a lot of your business now and the talks and stuff that you do is people approaching you. So how have you gotten to that point? You may not have enough
See
time.
the bags and the eyes. Yeah. You know, I mean,
A lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Exactly. You know, well, to be quite honest, I mean, because Tenkara had so much pushback and was not very well respected, I started to do more crazy things on the rod, and targeting species that were not traditional to a fixed line setup. And at a certain point, you know, on social media, posting some of these pictures or writing about these experiences and pictures, you know, at some point people started to pay attention and say, what, you know, you landed, you know, a shark on a Tenkara rod, or, you know,
like what fly did you use? How did you
like,
do
what?
it? Yeah.
That's crazy, you know, or salmon on Tenkara, like that's crazy. And so I started doing some of these things, initially not knowing if I would be successful or not, but I figured, okay, well, if my rod explodes, you know, and
It'll
I
make for
fail,
good content.
right? We'll still have fun doing it, right? And so, but to my surprise, I actually was having success. Like, oh wow, like I did it. Like, holy shit, now what? And so I think as you know, that started to grow, and people just started to say, hey, there's some woman on social media that's like landed bonefish, you know, on a Tenkara. And it's like, yeah, that's me. Or hey, I recognize you. And so that just kind of started to build momentum. And I also think we are now the oldest independently owned and operated Tenkara company in the U.S. Even though we were the second Tenkara company in the U.S., the first Tenkara company was sold out to a group of e-commerce investors. So it changed hands. So we've really been in it from the beginning and have been a part of its evolution in the United States. I think now I am probably, you know, one of the first women to own a business in the fly fishing industry now. I'm pretty certain I'm the only 100% woman-owned rod company in the world. So it's, you know, it's still a niche market, but we make an incredible product and have really been an ambassador for the sport or the method. And I feel also just for fly fishing and women in the sport in general. And so I think we have a good reputation and we stand behind our products. And several times we've come out with things that were sort of ahead of the community, or we were ahead of ourselves as far as ideas. And it took several years kind of for the industry to catch up to what we were doing. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think we're known as a very reputable company that makes a great product that, provides exemplar customer service and, has somebody that's really passionate.
And I think that's I mean it's you, right? Like that's you've built what you've built because of your passion and your love for it. And I congratulations on that. That's a phenomenal success. And if you were to look back now, did you ever foresee any of this like turning into what it has become?
Never in a million years, I mean, if I go back even, 50, well, 20 years ago, I know more about carbon fiber material than I ever could imagine that I would ever know. And so, yeah, I, I look back and I I think about, my transition in careers and just as a person and just the journeys I've been on and where it's taken me. And, um, you just never know where things will end up or where will lead you. And even when when Zen fly fishing gear was started with my ex-husband, before Zen Tenkara. Um, you know, when I took over the business, I lacked confidence. I was like, oh my gosh, I mean, had, if anything, I thrived in more of the administrative marketing side of it. And I was like, how can I run this? I'm a terrible angler. I don't know about this. I really, I didn't have any confidence in myself. I remember the first time giving a presentation, I thought, oh my gosh, these people are going to ask me 1,000 questions and I'm going to go up there and completely fail. But
did you?
I didn't.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I know more about this than I realized. And I've learned, like it's continual learning. Even when things seem to fail, it's never oh my gosh, that's a failure. It's like, huh, that's interesting.
Like why did this happen?
Like why did this fail? Like let's look at it. And you know and it's what I do with my fishing. Like was it why didn't I land this fish, or why did I lose this? Was it the equipment that failed? Was it something environmental? Was it something that I didn't make the right decision or respond? And you don't beat yourself up about it. Well, sometimes you do, right?
For a moment.
Yeah, or two. But you always learn. I always try to learn something about it, and trying. I think the biggest challenge is always, that self-discipline to not get overwhelmed by the nasty social media comments, to not be overwhelmed with, oh, I don't have confidence, or maybe I don't know as much as I think I should, or be overwhelmed with, if a sale doesn't go through, or all of a sudden my supplier is no longer available. It's like, okay, let's figure this out.
Yeah. You pivot.
Yeah, and don't panic, and lose it and freak out, but just, okay, take it step by step. We can figure this out. And you come away, usually finding success somewhere in there, or creating, right?
Yeah.
Success, even if you're like nailing it, building it step by step,
dragging it with you.
Yeah, like this is gonna work.
Yeah.
But you learn something, but you also, you say, oh wow, look, I solved that.
Yeah.
I figured it out. Like, okay,
it's like our brains and just like our confidence in self. Like it's like people don't realize sometimes that it's like little bits that happen, right? So like small thing, but like I travel a lot, as I mentioned. When I travel, like going to a different area, right? It's a little unnerving. I'm like, I don't know this area. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know anyone. Like, am I just gonna like walk into this coffee shop and meet a stranger and go live on, you know what I mean? But like these little things, they're all nerve wracking. And yet like every time one is complete, you're like, wow, that was amazing. Right. And for each little one, like it kind of like builds that like confidence shield like around you, like more and more, like the more things that you kind of go through, even if things don't work out. And I'm also a huge fan of that. Like I feel like we learn more from our quote unquote failures than from successes, you know, because you're like really evaluating like what it is and like, yeah, what did I learn about myself? But all of that growth is so beautiful and helps us like evolve as people, right? And we like have a different understanding of how things work, how people like that you can go through these experiences and you're not, you know, you're not going to die. You're going to be fine.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah. And it can only go up.
Yeah. Sometimes it can go down, but then it goes back up again. Yeah.
Well, like the, you know, have you seen that graph that they pass around like on social about like the entrepreneur journey? And it's just like, oh, this is fantastic. Like, what was I thinking? Like, oh no, I'm okay. Like, no, I suck. I'm terrible. Like, no, okay, no, we're good. Like, I feel like that's the general like journey of like business owners. Like we all kind of go through that. You test, you learn, you adjust, and you know, you just continue to grow in that way.
Well, you know, this past year with all the tariffs and everything that happened, I mean, oh my goodness, you know, I mean, I think those peaks and valleys will always be there, right? But it's how you respond to them.
Yes.
That changes. And you know, I remember, you know, looking at, what was it, 300%, you know, tariff taxes, 300%, or whatever it was, 250% at one point, and I just thought, oh my gosh, like I might be going out of business. This might be the end of me.
Yeah, through no control of your own.
Yeah, and you know, I just yeah, I didn't freak out. I just thought, all right, well, what are my options? What can I do? And the one thing that I have, you know, as a small business, right? I mean, I can't compete with, you know, big, giant, major brands.
Bass Pro Shop is not really your competition.
No. And so for me, what I really try to provide is that very intimate, personal, small business experience for customers. And, you know, I pick up the phone, I return emails, I answer many questions myself. Sometimes I will call a customer, like if an order comes through and I'm seeing combinations
that don't make sense.
I'm like, I wonder, you know, and I'll pick up a call and say, I'm just, you know, as we're preparing to package, I'm just questioning this combination. I want to make sure that you're making right choices, or not, you know, or getting something you don't need. And so I feel like you really build a lot of trust with your customer base. And I try to be there, you know, for them in that very personal way. And when things got crazy, I was as transparent and intimate with them about that as I was with responding, you know, to one of their Tenkara questions, and just said, look, this is what I'm facing. And I don't know, you know, we don't know if we're going to make it through this. But as a small business, I can't absorb these prices alone. And, you know, I unfortunately have to pass some percentage onto you. And this is,
and I'm sure like that honesty and that vulnerability also, like they have to appreciate that. you know, especially that you've built your business. It sounds very relationship driven with your clientele.
Yes. I mean, I received so many emails of people just like apologizing and saying, "Oh my gosh, we're so sorry that you're going through this," or "You're an incredible business, and I just want to wish you the best of luck and hope that you make it through this." And we're as a customer, I'm still supporting you, or whatever. So it was very touching, and you can only control what you can control. And
Yeah.
so we responded the only way we could, and said, "All right, well, let's see where it takes us." And it's like, "Oh my gosh, look it." We came out.
We
the
made it
other-
through. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I could like ask you a million other questions on business, but I'm realizing we are over time. And so maybe we'll have you back on and ask more questions. Is there any, as we like kind of wrap this up, is there any last words of wisdom that you want to share with the viewers?
Oh gosh, just if you love what you're doing and you believe in it, then just keep going, right? Because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will,
So true.
right? So you just gotta make that decision and just go get it.
Love that. That's perfect. And you are like the proof of that.
I'm not dead yet. Little Monty Python. Not dead yet.
Love that. Yes. It's only a flesh wound. Oh God, love those shows. Movies. So thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, I feel like we could keep talking about all sorts of things, life and fishing and everything related. And I'm so grateful that you came out to join me today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for teaching me about fly fishing, because now I want to try Tenkara. So you have a new customer, which is beautiful. And I know my friend Nicole, who kind of like spotlighted your comment initially, she's going to want to get involved too. So we'll definitely check it out.
Awesome.
For those of you who have not been paying attention, her website has been scrolling across the bottom of the screen here the whole time. So if you want to check out any of her products, please go to the website. If you have any questions on anything that you've heard, feel free to leave that in the comments. We'll both keep an eye on things like after the fact, so that if any questions come up, we'll be able to get those answered. But definitely check out our website. Send as many people as you can. You're a fabulous human being. I'm very glad I met you, and love your stories. And I love that we're both from Florida.
Yeah.
Full circle moment. Started out in the salt water and has come back into the salt water.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
Right? All right, love it. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. I am also launching a podcast on Wednesdays, starting for the next couple of months while I'm here. So keep a lookout for the next episode on Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great weekend. Go fly fishing.
Yes.